this video, I'm going to show you how to spend money in your 20s. Most people only talk about how to make it. I'm going to talk about how to spend it. Three things I'm going to share with you. Number one is the strategy most don't do. Number two is why in your 20s you got to start thinking about retirement. And the third and number one way that you need to start investing your money in your 20s. The number one strategy most don't do is they don't build their credit, and right with it is they don't get an LLC or an entity to start their business. So even if you have a job in your 20s, I want you to start a business. Call it a side hustle. So in that, you're going to have your Social Security number, which is for you, and then your LLC or your S Corp or your C Corp. We can help figure out which is the best for you. But your company also can have corporate credit. No one tells you this. Everyone says, unless you're making $100,000, you don't need to have an entity. That's not true because no one talks about credit. So first, let's talk about you. So what you need to do is actually go onto the credit. There's 3 credit score companies and apply for credit. A lot of people will never tell you this, and you will have some income, so you have to put income. You can't say, well, I have zero income and expect, the financial institutes to give you credit cards. So as you put in your income and you're going to estimate, how much could you make this year? Like, let's just say you're going to make $1,000 a month. That's only $250 a week. That's $50 a day. Anyone listening can do that. So once you put in your income minimum put $1,000 a month, and I'll help you figure that out, how you're going to make that money. Then you're going to apply in 3 different cards. We'd encourage you to go for American Express, Discover, and then one of your Visas or MasterCards. Do that for yourself personally, then do it for your company. And inside your company, again, you're going to have income. And again, you're going to project that income. Every 6 months, you want to come back and you want to boost your credit score. You will be shocked. I've taken kids that are 18 years old, now 22, 24, and they're at 800 credit scores. They have 6 figures of lines of credit inside other credit card companies. You will be shocked when you actually pay attention. Using an LLC and yourself, go apply for credit. So once you have your credit cards, you have your individual credit cards and you have your company credit cards. So let's start with, how do you spend these cards? How do you use them? So most people are never taught the difference between debit and credit cards. So I'm going to go all the way back there. So a debit card is money that's attached to your bank account. It's going to come right out of your bank account. It's doing nothing for your credit. So a lot of you parents out there, you're working with your kids in their teens, late teens, and you're just giving them a debit card, maybe a bank account, and 18 off to, college or out of the door they go. That's not enough. So I want you to start doing debit cards early in your teens. So assuming by now you're in your 20s, you've used them, but credit's different. Credit is associated to your credit score. That's something you're going to have for the rest of your life. You want to buy a house later, you want to buy investment properties, you want to buy even a car, you want to have a loan, you're going to have good credit. So individually and corporately, that's the big difference that I'm speaking to you about. You've got to have both. Now, what do I tell you about how to use them? Because I am not Susie Orman, not Dave Ramsey. I'm going to tell you, you got to use your credit cards to increase your credit score. Now, be very responsible about them. Early on, like I work with a lot of college athletes, I tell them to get, say, an American Express and a Discover. Use one for food and other personal necessities. Use the other for gas. Like really simple. Pay them off every month. Just start using small utilization payoffs. Small utilization payoffs. Here's the thing about paying them. Do not pay them the same day. Spread them out. What you want the financial institutes to see is that you're financially viable. So maybe the first week of the month you pay off the American Express. The second week you pay off the Discover. And if you have a MasterCard or Visa, you pay them off in weeks 3 and 4. So you always have money in the system. You're never debt free. I know it's completely against what you've been taught. They're wrong. I'm right. It's true. Same with corporate credit. You want that corporation to be worth a lot and you can have a lot of lines of credit. Same thing. You might have corporate, gas and fuel and auto. Use one card for that. Use the other card for maybe technical. Maybe you want to go buy a camera. You need a computer. You need a new phone. All of that could be on that card. And then you'd use another card and another card. So shockingly, they're wrong. I'm right about how do you spend properly using credit and getting great credit scores. Now let's talk about number 2. the one that no one thinks about until their 40s and 50s. Sometimes, like right now, it's shocking. People in their 60s and 70s do not have money put away. I hate that little word retirement because it's really an agricultural word that means put cattle to pasture to die. You're not a cow, you're not dying. So let's just use a different word. As you get older, you want freedom day in your life, and you want money later in your life, in your 60s and 70s. So go online and get a compounding calculator. It's just a simple calculator. You're going to put in, if I have this much money, I just did it for my daughters over the weekend. We put in $3,000. If they have $3,000, and they're both 14 years old right now, and all they did was contribute $150 a month. And you say, well, how does a kid like that, put that much money away? It's $150. Not a lot. You can babysit for that. You can mow lawns for that. Tons of stuff. We're not talking about teenagers, talking about you in your 20s. But my point is that compounding power of money is unbelievable. At $3,000, by putting $150 away a month, and you do it for 30 years, only invested at 10%, you'll have nearly $500,000. Right? So you got to start putting money away, even if it's a little bit. Now you say, well, where do I put it? Well, I have a link at the end of the video that I'm going to give you. It's called iFlip. It is amazing. And we are beating Robinhood because it takes you out of the market. It protects you. So you don't have to be this stock trader who's watching the stock market and worrying about what the stock market's doing. You can park it. It goes into an algorithm and invest your money. You can even do digital currency in this. So end of the video, I'm going to give you a cool link to get that app for free. It's a free software. Go get it. Try it out. Even if you put $50 a month, I have student athletes doing this. $50 a month, $50 a month. It's a start. It's the pattern of your life that's critical. So you're going to spend properly using credit cards, not your debit card. There's a whole principle about that I'll tell you in another video. And then you want to put money away to start investing, right, for your later years life, retirement. So before I get to the third and the big one about where to start investing, I want you to make some comments below. Just note where you are now, what you think of this idea, if you're scared about it. Some of you, you don't trust yourself to get credit cards because, oh my gosh, you might get into debt. You're only going to be on a 28 to 30 day rotation of being a little bit in debt. Don't overspend, don't go crazy. We'll have to have a whole therapy session if you do that to yourself. So how do you start investing? Now this one is a big one. If you're employed, which a lot of you, if you are in school, you could have, a university job, you get some employment. Here's why, and you don't have to have it very long, but you need a paycheck to walk into a financial institute and open a Roth IRA. Everyone, I actually tell my parents that I'm coaching to do that when their kids are born, to get their kid employed and open a Roth. So here you are in your 20s, if you haven't opened a Roth IRA, here's why you have to start that way. You start putting money into the flip account, right? So that's more liquid, you can use it. But when you put money into a Roth, it grows tax-free, tax-deferred for the rest of your life. So let's just say, which I did, bought some Bitcoin, Ethereum, digital currency inside your Roth. Now you can only put up to $6,000 a year into your Roth, but here's the good news. If you bought it, I did, at $4,000, at $8,000, at $9,000, and it soared up to $64,000, all of that gain is tax-free, tax-deferred inside your Roth. So who knows where the future of digital currency is going to go, or even some awesome stocks. Right? There's some stocks that pay great dividends, and all that's tax-free, tax-deferred. As you grow that account, you can actually use your Roth IRA to self-direct. You can even go buy some real estate. So the other thing you can do to invest is partner with your parents. So those of you that are off in university, a great thing to do is buy either a duplex, not a single house. Buy a duplex, triplex, fourplex, 16plex, whatever you and your parents can do together, especially if you're in a university town, then you'll have cash flow for the rest of your life. So I would partner, again, in an LLC. You could partner with your parents and you be the first tenant. You help manage the property. A lot of our students do this, tons and tons of our students. I'm talking students meaning adults. They will look back and if they have kids in their 20s, and if you're listening, obviously you are, you're here in your 20s, ask your parents to be your partner and you'll have cash flow. And it actually can help pay for college depending on the right real estate property. So again, in your 20s, just start these patterns of using credit right. Get your company set. I want you to get an iFlip software and just put a little bit of money away. You can always go access it within 48 hours. So that's liquid. That's just a better way than a savings account that gives you no interest. And then your Roth. You start those things in your 20s, you will be shocked if all you did is just load them up month by month by month. I promise you, doing nothing else, you'll be a millionaire later in life.